Hey guys, it's Giles here. Time for part 2 of my creating a store app. And if you haven't watched the previous video, I explained what we're creating. And definitely watch the previous video before this one. If you are that lazy, you can download the source code for the first part. You can download the source code for the first part. It'll be in the sidebar as well as the source code for this part. So up until now, what we've created is just a simple bank. So as you can see here, we have our bank with withdraw. We can withdraw money. We start out with $100 in the bank. It'll tell us how much we have. And if we withdraw money again, that'll update. We can cancel. We can deposit money. So I'll deposit 25. That'll tell us how much cash we have available. And if we hit deposit again, that'll update. So really simple. Well, I say that relatively speaking. For some of you it may be simple, but now what we're going to create in this part 2, we're not actually going to create the buying things part. We're going to add an icon file, and I'll teach you how to do that. And we're also going to add earning money. So as you can see, when we open it up, after a certain amount of time, you can see that checks just changed to 10, changed to 20, changed to 30. Right now I have it set at 4 seconds, but obviously you're gonna want it set more than that. I just have it set to 4 for demonstration purposes, so we don't have to wait a ton of time to show you that it actually works. And also, if you press cash, then it'll cash your checks into cash, and if you hit bank, it'll cash your checks into bank. So as you can see, if our checks is $20, if we have $20 worth in checks, you can bank it, because as you hopefully know, if you work, you don't necessarily earn money just as straight cash. You earn checks, and then you bank the checks, or you cash the checks. So that's basically what this is. It's earning money. So to start, we're going to open our open what we had from last week, our store app.xcode project, and this is what we have right here. So if we run it, we just get what I showed you at the beginning right here. If we run it, then we just get that. So first thing we're going to do is add our icon file. So what we're going to do is see, we have this I made just a simple icon file right here that just in Photoshop, and you want this to be 57 by 57. You can name it whatever you want. I suggest calling it icon.ping, but it's up to you what you call it. And it has to be a ping. I believe it's the best thing. It's the best file type to use. That's what I've always used. And it has to be 57 by 57 or around there. If it's too big, it won't work. If it's too small, it'll be too small. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drag this from our desktop over to our resources folder, and a little blue line will appear. We just want to drop it, and it'll say copy items into destinations group folder if needed. You want that to be checked, and the rest of this is okay. So we'll hit add, and now our icon file is here. So if we click it, our icon file is in our project. Now we want to go to our store app-info, so our store app-info.plist. This is all the app info basic stuff, so our name that it'll display as and stuff like that. You don't want to mess with most of this stuff, but some you can. So icon file, we'll call this icon.ping. We don't need to give it a directory or anything. It'll notice that it knows it's already in the resources folder. So that'll work, and we can also add a couple more things, or one more thing that I sometimes like to do. We can change it from instead of, if you don't want the gloss above it like we have here, if you don't want that little highlight, you can just you can click the bottom one, or you can just click icon file over here and hit the plus button, and we can search up here for it, and it says icon file already includes gloss and bevel. If you want, you can also just type UI pre-rendered icon, does the same thing, and it just becomes a boolean checkbox value, yes or no. So if we check it, then we can save and run our app, and we just want to close this so we can see the thing. Then you'll see our store app icon without the highlight. So if we uncheck this, and then we hit clean all, because we want to clean the icon file and stuff like that. So we're gonna hit clean, and then we'll run again, and bring this back over here, hit home, and then our icon file does include the gloss. Now what we're gonna do is add our actions for earning money. So we're going to go up here into our classes folder and select our store at viewcontroller.h, click on it, and now we're editing this. And what we want to edit is first this stuff. We want to add a new UI label. So let's hit enter and go IB outlet UI label asterisk. So we're creating the name of it, and we're just going to call this check, and that'll tell us how much. That'll be the text label for how much money we have in checks. And then we need to assign a property to it. So let's go property parenthesis non-atomic retain UI label and check. And now we're going to create two new IB actions. One for, as you saw, the check for banking your checks, and one for cashing your checks, as you see here. Each of these has its own IB action, cash and bank. So we're going to go dash or hyphen parenthesis IB action. So we're creating a new action, and we're going to call this action cash check semicolon. And then we're going to create our bank check. So we're going to go hyphen parenthesis IB action. So we're creating the action, and we're calling the action bank check semicolon. So now that we're all good in our header file, we can switch on over to our nib file. So under your resources folder, under your resources group, you can double click store at viewcontroller.nib to open the interface file, and we're going to edit our interface a little bit. So we're going to drag out two new labels, one that'll just say checks $$. So that'll be like how much you have in checks, and we're just going to give this, we're going to go into our label attributes and just color this green just like our others. And we're going to drag out one more UI label right here, and we're going to place that right next to our $. And we're just going to give this a value of 0, and we're going to connect up our outlets. So we're going to control drag holding down control, we're going to drag from files owner up to the 0 and just hit check. And then we're going to save, and we're going to drag out two round rectangle buttons. So actually, let's make sure this is lined up with the end of that. Alright, we're going to drag out two round rectangle buttons, and we're going to line these up with the text box. So you see a blue line up here, and let's make this a little less wide. And I'll copy, and I'll paste, and I'll put it right next to it, lined up with the right, and I'll double click the first one, call this cash, and double click the second one to label it bank. And now what we're going to do is connect up our IB actions. So we're going to right, just like we did last time in our last tutorial for our withdraw and deposit, we're going to right click on our cash, and we're going to hit touch up inside, drag from there over to files owner, and we're going to hit cash check. And then we're going to close this little heads up display, and we're going to right click on bank and do the same but for bank. Let's drag over to files owner, bank check. So we should be all set in our view controller nib file, so we can save and we can quit. And now we're going to head on over excuse me, to our main file. So we're going to go to our store at viewcontroller.m, and we're going to look down here in our commented section for this action void view did load, and we're going to uncomment this by deleting the asterisk or the slash asterisk above it and the asterisk slash below it. And then we're going to delete super view did load, and this is where we're going to add our timer for earning money. So as you see here, we have a timer set for every 4 seconds. It'll repeat, and it'll give us $10 more. So as soon as the view loads, we want to start the timer. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit open bracket ns timer which is creating a new timer. And now we need to set our type of timer. So we're going to start typing scheduled timer with time interval, and it'll autocomplete, but we don't want this one. So, and there are two of these, so we want to press escape, and we want to see the bottom one, which will say scheduled timer with time interval, target, selector, user info, repeats. So we're going to go down to that and hit enter, and then we're going to set our interval. Let's make this 5, and then our target is self. Our selector, we're just going to call @selector, parenthesis, earn money, end parenthesis, close parenthesis, and user info we don't want, so we're just going to hit nil. And repeats, we do want this to repeat every 4 seconds, so what we're going to say is yes. Then we're going to close bracket and hit semicolon, and we're all good in our view did load. We're all set. So below the rest of our actions up here, just right here, let's create an open space, and this is where we're going to set our earn money. So we're going to hit hyphen, parenthesis, void, close parenthesis, earn money. It'll autocomplete for us since we already have it down in our view did load. I'm going to hit open curly bracket, and I'll close off this so I don't forget. So now what we're going to do is set our timer, or our action. So simple 4 lines. So we're going to set an integer for our check before and our check after. So we're going to go int check before equals, and remember we don't need the asterisk for integers just because we don't, equals open bracket check dot text int value. Then we're going to hit enter, and we're going to type int check after equals, and we're just going to type check before plus, and then this is however much money we want to earn every 5 seconds, so we're just going to say 10. So every 5 seconds we'll earn 10. If we change this to 20, every 5 seconds we'll earn 20. I think 10 is a good amount, so we'll just hit 10. And then we're going to hit semicolon, and now we're going to create a string for our check after. So we're going to hit ns string asterisk, because we're naming the string, and we're going to call this check text after equals bracket ns string allocate alloc close bracket init with format, so initialize with format, plain text, and then this is where we create our variable. So just up here we have string with format %i, and then we call our variable just like the other times we've done it. So let's go %i close quotation, and then we're gonna hit comma, and this will be check after, and we're gonna hit close bracket semicolon. And now on our last line, we just need to set the text to our ns string. So simply we're just gonna hit check.text equals check text after. And before we forget, we want to synthesize our check label. So just as we have up here with our cash and our bank label, so we're gonna hit @synthesize check. And we really should deallocate these as well, so we'll go down here to at the very bottom, just before @end, we'll see void deallocate, and we're just gonna hit above super deallocate, we're gonna hit bracket bank release close bracket semicolon bracket cash release close bracket semicolon and bracket check release close bracket semicolon. Now if we run this, we shouldn't get any errors other than what we had before. And if we bring this over here, you'll notice that every 5 seconds this should update. Yep, every 5 seconds this adds 10. So we have 10, and then we have 20, and next will be 30, of course, if you know simple math. And so that's basically that. But also, if you notice, where was I? Here we go. Store app. If you notice, if we have money in checks, then we hit cash or bank, our app will just unexpectedly quit because we don't have action set for those. So we're gonna move this back over here, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to create our actions. So below our earn money action, we're going to hit hyphen, parenthesis, IB action, close parenthesis, cash, check, open curly bracket, and I'll close this off now so I don't forget. And then what we're going to do is create 4 integers, our cash before, our check before, and our cash after, and our check after. So our cash before is just what our cash equals before we cash the check, and our check before is what the check equals before we cash the check. And our cash after is what our cash is after we cash it, and our check after is what the check is after. So we're going to go int cash before equals, and we'll just hit open bracket, cash.text integer value, so just int value, close bracket, semicolon, and then int check before equals bracket check.text integer value, so just like above int value, close bracket, semicolon. And now we're going to do the same thing for the second 2 of these, but what we're going to do is change it up a bit. So we're going to hit int cash after equals, and our cash after, since we're cashing the check, we want it to be the cash before plus the check, plus the amount that we have in checks. So we're going to hit cash before, and since these are integers, we can add them. So cash before plus check before, which is the text in our check, which is the amount of money we have in checks. So that'll equal what we have like after we cash the check. So semicolon, and then we're going to have our check after. And since we're cashing the entire check, we're just going to make it equal 0. So we're just going to hit int check after equals, we can either hit 0. I chose to just say check before minus check before. So it just takes what we had, takes the amount of checks, so say we had $100 in checks, just subtracts $100, it equals 0 either way. And then what we're going to do is create 2 strings for our cash after text and our check after text. So we're going to hit ns string, creating the string, then naming the string, so asterisk cash after check equals bracket ns string allocate, close bracket, initialize init with format. And what we're going to do is our same thing with our variable, like up here. So we're going to hit plain text, so at quotation mark, and then %i, and quotation mark, comma, and this will be cash after. And we can hit end bracket, semicolon. Then we're going to do another string, so we're going to create the string, ns string. We're going to name the string asterisk check after text. Oops, let me change this up here from check after check to check after text. I'm sorry. So, or cash after text, whatever. You want this to be cash after text, and the second one to be check after text. So we're going to hit equals, bracket, ns string, allocate, end bracket, init with format, then at quotation mark, %i, quotation mark, comma, check after, end bracket, semicolon. Now we need to set the text of both our fields. So we're going to go cash.text equals cash after text, semicolon, and then our check.text equals check after, and we can actually hit escape and just get it. Whoops, I guess I did it wrong, whatever, semicolon. So now if we run this, our cash check, so if we bring this over here, if we wait a couple seconds until we have some money, so we have $10 in checks. If we hit cash, then our checks become 0 and our cash becomes what our checks was. So, it adds it. So if we have 10 here and we have, say, 30 here, which we'll have now, then this will become 40, just like that. And then this will become 0. And we'll keep running money, so 50, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 60, whatever, you get the point. Now what we're going to do is create our bank. So we want to bank the check. So basically it's the exact same thing as this, just changing everything from cash to bank. So we can copy this entire IB action and paste it a couple lines down, or after it, and instead of cash check, we're going to make this bank check. And this goes along with what I said last week. We need to remember to change everything. So if we copy and paste, that is. So int, we want to change this from cash before to bank before, and from cash.text to bank.text, and check before can say the same. Cash after, bank after, equals cash before plus check before equals bank before plus check before. Check after equals check before plus minus check before, that's okay. Cash after text, we want to change this to bank after text. And we want to change this right here to our bank after. And then down here, we can just change our cash.text to bank.text. And if we run this, oops, look, we got a compiler error. Oh, yeah, forgot to change this. So we want to change our cash after text, so bank.text equals bank after text. And when we save that, and then we can run it, Command R. And now if we bring our simulator over here, as you see, every 5 seconds that increases. I'll just wait till it gets to, say, 20. So at 20 we can cache it. There's no limit, you can cache it whenever, but just an example. And then if it's 10, say we want to bank it, so let's hit bank, and then it adds it to our bank. So we can bank, we can cache, and whatever. So thanks for watching. Please check out my blog, gilesvg.com, as well as my Twitter, twitter.com/gilesvangryson. And if you're interested in these tutorials, if you want them to keep coming, then please subscribe. I've made a playlist on my YouTube channel that will have all the tutorials in it as I update them and as I upload more. And also, I told you guys last week at the end of the tutorial about the new website I'm making. It's called shucked.com. I bought the domain just the other day. So if you want to go to shucked.com, that's SHUCKD.com. I just have a splash page up there, and I'll put up a contact link so you guys can contact me if you're interested in becoming a part of it. And if you are, please send me an email saying, like, with a sample piece of writing as well as some sample work, because it is a blog. So thanks for watching, and as always, the source code will be available for download. So last week's part and this week will be available for download in the sidebar. Thanks for watching.